Hey, what's going on everybody? Loris here, founder of Carrier Intelligence. And today I want to talk to you about something very, very important, and that is the importance of being different when attracting drivers. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, you got to think, there are a lot of trucking companies out there, right? And there's a lot of drivers out there that are being bombarded by essentially the same message. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're on Craigslist or Indeed or ZipRecruiter or trucking job boards or dealing with third-party recruiters, what have you. Typically, trucking companies say the same things in one shape or form. It's usually, here's the rate per mile, here's the cents per mile, here's the benefits, apply now, click this link to talk to us, yada, yada. There's a picture of a truck every single time, picture of a truck. So while that can work, it doesn't work that well. And I'm going to try to flip the script a little bit here, and this may be, redundant to some carriers watching this, but I think most carriers it's going to resonate very well with, because this is the truth, and not enough companies do this. They really don't. It's such a archaic industry that's really set in its ways, and the recruiting pieces, those recruiting principles have been ingrained in every trucking company for so long that they're almost just bad habits that need to be broken. Okay, so we're going to create a different formula for driver attraction. Now, we want to think about the industry. First, it is outdated. If you think about the technology the trucking companies use, EDIs, fax machines, those pieces of technology are very, very old. In fact, there's not many industries at all anymore that utilize fax machines. Right? EDIs as well is a very primitive form of data transfer, and yet they're using them all the time. And this outdated mentality absolutely transfers down to the recruiting practices and attraction practices as well. And I also want to point out that we got to think about companies that don't adapt. Times are changing, whether you like it or not. We can keep doing things the same way, and you can get okay results. But if you look at maybe what your company does now versus 20 years from now, if you're doing the same thing, I guarantee the results are worse now than they were 20 years ago. That's because things change. You have to adapt to change. Companies that don't adapt to change, they wind up ceasing to exist. Think about Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster didn't want to adapt to the Netflix model of sending people DVDs in the mail. Guess what happened? Blockbuster is extinct, Netflix won. We can go down history and look at all these different forms of technology and companies that have failed. The typewriter, the pager, you know what I mean? Like Yahoo, MySpace, these companies that don't adapt, they ultimately don't survive. And if we look at the average methods that trucking companies are using, they really fall under three distinct umbrellas. So umbrella one is going to be online classifieds, things like Craigslist, okay? Another method is some kind of job board, things like Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Another method would be trucking-specific job boards, okay? And the final one that a lot of companies use are outside recruiters, third-party agents that are recruiting on behalf of the company. These are the average methods that most companies use. And they, again, usually put something on those advertising platforms about, here's my picture of my truck, here's the rate per mile, here's the benefits, here's the sign-on bonus information, apply now, let's talk. And that stuff doesn't work. So what we want to do instead is you use new methods and focus on what makes your company unique. Okay, because you got to think about it. Every company has something unique. It doesn't matter if you are a smaller carrier with 10, 20, 50 trucks in your fleet, or a larger carrier with hundreds and hundreds of power units. Every company is unique. Even if you don't have the highest rate per mile, maybe you don't have the best equipment, or you have outdated facilities, you still have something that makes your company a unique place to work. It could be the culture. It could be the fact that you get your drivers home every week like clockwork. The point is you have to latch on to what's called your USP, your unique selling proposition, and advertise with that. Because here's what happens. When you focus on advertising with what makes your company unique, the first thing that happens is you're going to repel those drivers that don't want what you have to offer. Let's say, for example, you get your drivers home on the weekends. Well, if you focus the bulk of your advertising on that messaging, The drivers that are already getting home on the weekends, they're probably not going to apply. And that's just fine. We don't want any driver to apply. We only want those drivers to apply that want what you have to offer. The second thing that's going to happen is you're going to attract those drivers that want what you have. Those drivers that are days and weeks away from their family. They haven't been home in a weekend in months, perhaps. Whenever they see an advertisement about your company that gets drivers home on the weekends, that's going to resonate with their current situation. You hit on the pain points of that. You roll out the red carpet and invite them to apply. That driver that applies is going to be a lot more invested in your company because of what you have to offer. And that is the importance of being different in an industry that is so resistant to change. So hopefully that helped you out. Catch you on the next video.